The Patton Report is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to the Patton Report. Today, we're going to be talking about the Microsoft gaming division and what it just went through, which is one of the most dramatic leadership shakeups in the entire industry's history. Phil Spencer, the face of Xbox for over a decade, is retiring. Sarah Bond is stepping down. Matt Booty is moving into a new AI role. And Microsoft has appointed a brand new Xbox boss, Asha Sharma, who comes from the company's AI leadership team. This isn't just a reshuffle. It's a tectonic shift. We're going to break down what happened, why it matters, and what it could mean for the future of Xbox, including whether exclusives might return, whether the multi-platform strategy is here to stay, and why one of the original creators of Xbox believes the brand is being sunsetted. Then once we've survived that roller coaster, we'll lighten things up with Pokemon's 30th anniversary celebration, Christian Bale joining Heat 2, the March 2026 PlayStation Plus and Game Pass lineups, and Kenny Omega bringing Alex to life in Street Fighter 6. A lot to cover today, so we're going to hop right in. Let's start with the big one. Phil Spencer is retiring after 38 years at Microsoft. IGN's exclusive report lays out the timeline and the tone. Spencer said, "I never could have imagined the path ahead," which is corporate speak for, "I did not sign up for this level of chaos when I took the job." Spencer's career arc is one of the most unique in gaming. He started as an intern in the 1980s and worked his way through Microsoft's product teams and eventually became the head of Xbox during one of its darkest moments, the aftermath and failure of what was the Xbox One launch. Let's not sugarcoat it. Spencer, he rebuilt Xbox kind of from the ground up. From where he picked up, he shifted the brand away from the TV strategy era of Don Mattrick. Don Mattrick, who, went with, "We're not really worried about physical media. This is supposed to replace multiple devices in your living room. This is more of a TV app device that allows you to play games," that kind of thing. Phil Spencer was able to shift that by championing things like backwards compatibility, pushing for crossplay when Sony was very against it. And he oversaw probably the biggest thing he did, which is make Xbox a third-party powerhouse with all of the acquisitions that Microsoft has made, such as Mojang, Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard. He launched Game Pass, arguably the most influential subscription service in gaming, and probably one of the best values still, with the way it approaches how games are consumed. I mean, I am a proponent of Game Pass. Its price tag has gotten a little hefty if you're using it both for PC and Xbox, but it is still a great value if you're the kind of person that buys, one game a month or a couple games a month, especially with day one releases and things of that nature. Why his retirement might matter. Spencer wasn't just a leader, he became kind of the identity of Xbox. So friends of mine have heard me lovingly call him Philly Spence. He was the public face, the steady hand, the guy who could walk on stage and instantly calm a fan base. Also, he was a gamer, well known for his love of Destiny, for instance, in Destiny 2. His departure leaves sort of a vacuum, and Microsoft's choices in filling that vacuum tells us a lot about where the company is heading and has been heading. Sarah Bond, who became Xbox president in 2023, is stepping down as well. Bond was widely seen as the heir apparent, the person who would eventually take over Spencer's role. She was heavily involved in the Activision Blizzard integration, the Game Pass strategy, and the push towards cloud gaming. Her departure, combined with Spencer's, signals that Microsoft isn't just replacing leadership, it's restructuring the entire division. Her leaving is something you kind of see in a lot of companies where it seems like she was maybe promised a job and then passed over. If you're looking at it, outside looking in. So I'm not completely surprised by this when they decided to hand Spencer's job to a different person here. But yeah, her departure combined with Spencer's signals, like I said, Microsoft isn't replacing leadership. They're just kind of restructuring that entire division. Then there's Matt Booty, formerly the head of Xbox Game Studios. Booty is moving into a broader Microsoft AI role. That's kind of a big tell. We're replacing Spencer with someone who was formerly above pretty much all AI core, I believe is what it was. Booty has been central to Xbox's first-party development strategy for years. Moving him into AI suggests that Microsoft wants a tighter alignment between gaming and AI initiatives. And this is kind of where the puzzle pieces start to form a picture. Asha Sharma, she's the new Xbox boss, for lack of a better term. IGN reports that Asha Sharma, a Microsoft AI executive, is now the head of Xbox. Sharma's background is a bit fascinating in itself. She's not a traditional gaming executive, doesn't have much experience in the gaming industry. She is a product strategist with deep experience in AI, cloud services, and cross-platform ecosystems, and that kind of tells us something that, maybe the hardware element of Xbox will be no more. We're looking more at cloud service gameplay, which they've been pushing for quite some time. IGN quotes her as saying there is no Microsoft pressure to increase AI use. That's a very carefully crafted sentence. No pressure doesn't mean no expectation. And it certainly doesn't mean that there's no opportunity. Sharma is stepping into a role where AI is becoming central to Microsoft's identity, and whether she wants it or not, Xbox is going to be a part of that. Will Xbox start reversing its strategy? One of the biggest questions IGN raises is whether Sharma will reverse some of Xbox's recent strategic decisions, especially the move away from exclusives. The article quotes a phrase that has been circulating internally: the plan is the plan until it's not the plan. That's corporate speak for we're open to changing direction if we need to, whenever we need to. And what that might change: exclusives. Will Xbox return to a traditional first-party strategy? That was one that's been posed. I don't see that happening just because of unless by first party people are saying, gaming, the all of the acquisitions that they made that are under. It's more like they will become a third party development powerhouse. So going back to just straight first party, non-crossplay, non-releases to Sony, PC, etc. It just doesn't really make sense for what they've been trying to do so far. Now that could change, but I don't see that happening. But it is a question I have seen posed on many different chat sites and comment sections. Multi-platform, for instance, will games like Starfield and Indiana Jones continue launching on PlayStation? Once again, I believe that will be the case. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. It's more likely that they will start moving away from physical hardware, would be my guess, and become, just a powerhouse of, similar to, say, Sega, a powerhouse of whatever content that they're putting out for PC and streaming platforms, in all, Sony, Nintendo, Switch 2, whatever. Which kind of goes into the next thing, which is, will Xbox continue making consoles or pivot towards cloud and PC? That seems to be where things are leading. I mean, I don't think that, you have to worry about Xbox going away tomorrow as far as hardware goes, but with the cost of everything going up and the focus on AI and the push for Game Pass and cloud streaming, there's inherent problems with cloud streaming depending on where you live, what type of internet you have, if you can get games to run efficiently. For instance, if you're playing first-person shooters, you want something that's really low latency, you're not going to necessarily be able to get that depending on what internet looks like in your area. There's a lot of people that don't have access to fiber, for instance, and getting things to run in a way that you would want, depending on the hardware that you're trying to do it from, and how you're attempting to play that game and the connectivity that you have. Can make for very terrible experiences. I have played around with some of that stuff and have not been thrilled on it, even with someone with a pretty high internet connection and fiber. It's still not there, and maybe it's going to get better, and maybe that's some of the push. But I believe that still we're looking at Game Pass being the true moneymaker, the subscription service of Xbox Live and Game Pass being what's going to continue to be the bread and butter. what this means for like the new Asus gaming handheld, which people have already kind of scoffed at looking at the price and what it is, and the price of RAM and hard drives, like we talked about in last week's episode, how that's going to affect any kind of new console is interesting to say the least. Especially Microsoft being one of the companies that's kind of causing these price increases, as it gets a little greasy there with their focus on AI and some of the other internal problems with Microsoft in general, right? Like Microsoft as a whole is not doing well. So Xbox and its gaming division is probably an afterthought. It's a small piece of business. It's a big piece of business, but it is in the grand scheme of what Microsoft is, it is not the biggest piece of their business. So it is not going to be their primary focus, and nor has it ever been. Seamus Blackley, who was there for the initial Xbox, the original Xbox release, has said that Xbox seems to be being sunsetted. And that's the most dramatic take of all of these that I've heard, or for people coming out and talking about this. Seamus Blackley, as noted, one of the original creators of the Xbox, told IGN that he believes that the recent shakeup spells the end of Microsoft's gaming business. He argues that leadership turnover, AI-focused restructuring, and the lack of a clear hardware roadmap all points to Xbox slowly being phased out. I as a hardware device, probably. I don't think that he's too far off there. I don't think that Xbox is being sunsetted. I do think that Microsoft is repositioning the brand, and it may become more of a services platform, a cloud ecosystem, Game Pass first business, and a multi-platform publisher, as I've kind of noted on so far. I don't think that they're just going to, we're not doing games anymore after spending so much time purchasing all of these various, to the point where they were being called almost a monopoly. And there was talks of a potential lawsuit for all the companies they bought, specifically that Activision acquisition in the gaming industry. But it is a massive shift from Xbox. If you grew up with Xbox, I think that what we're seeing now is going to be way different than anything we've seen before with this company. And I would not be surprised if you don't get the Xbox 720 or whatever the hell they were going to call the next console. And the bigger problem is, right now, who the hell can afford anything anyways, right? I'm not going to get political or tie into any of that. Microsoft is, like I said, noted part of the problem with AI and the resources that it just takes, and the cost of RAM going up and hard drives going up. Like right now, you kind of look at like a PlayStation 5 and you go, well, or whatever the latest hardware is going to be. And you realize that thing is going to cost what, like a high to mid-end gaming PC cost like 4 years ago. It's going to be interesting to see how companies address that, and that might be part of the Microsoft shift, trying to get that stuff more stable with streaming, because then the hardware is not as important, because you're streaming the games off hardware. It's more important to have very, very good internet, and if they can make that stable and be more viable. They're not the first company to go down that road. Google had streaming games. I think NVIDIA tried it as well. There's been a few companies that have tried stuff like this. Microsoft obviously being the biggest, and probably has a leg up on a lot of this stuff with Azure servers and the cloud-based crap that they deal with. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out and what it looks like. And, for the average consumer, I don't think that they care about any of this, and won't care, and probably won't even worry about hardware until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, which should run on your standard devices now. But, we will see. It's going to be interesting. A little bit of lighter gaming news. Pokemon's 30th anniversary is tomorrow as I record this show, or as you're listening to this show, I should say. It's celebrating which is February 27th, by the way, if I give a date. They've already, if you go to Pokemon's Japanese Twitter, they're celebrating a 30th anniversary by releasing 1,025 unique logos, one for every species. It is a collect kind of thing. So basically you can catch your own logo through the online generator. It's just a play on nostalgia and how massive Pokemon's become, and also gains traction to that Twitter page. So if you want like a cool little logo of some various Pokemon, you can go check that out. Tomorrow is the actual Pokemon Day. That's when we'll get probably the release of Pokemon Champions. Gearing up for, VGC, right? So they got to get the game out a little early so that when the summer tournament start happening, people will be able to get some time into the game before all of that goes down, because that will be assumingly be the shift from away from Scarlet and Violet as the primary platform for VGC battles going forward, and how people adapt to that'll be interesting. There's rumors that we might see Gen 10 Pokemon tomorrow, so whatever the new starters are going to be, tons of trading card game. I'm sure we're going to get a ton of stuff there. Pokemon Unite, I'm assuming we'll get some updates there, as well as the TCG Pocket. All of the stuff. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, though. It is the 30th anniversary. They'll probably have, a cool orchestra concert and some other things. It's going to be neat, so I'll definitely be checking that out tomorrow. If you're a Pokemon fan, I would try to, make some time to watch that. Take your lunch break, or when you get home, try to avoid the internet until you get home, I guess, if you're at work listening to this and like, oh man, today's Pokemon Day. And then, maybe play some Pokemon. I've been playing Pokemon Radical Red again, and there might be some video coming out for that soon. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, play some Pokemon. You also get the release. They're doing a re-release of Fire Red, and you can pick that up as well at Leaf Green if you're into that. Those will be coming your way to Switch 2. Something else I just kind of saw that's was interesting is Christian Bale is joining Leonardo DiCaprio in Heat 2. The first thing I thought is, how the hell does Heat have a sequel, and who asked for that? I'm assuming that this is a sequel in name alone. I don't know how you're going to tie any of that story back to Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio's characters. Michael Mann is returning, which is interesting. And this is going to be, at least the biggest heist movie in the past decade. But it's interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I know I'm going to watch it when Tom Clark of Tom Clark's Main Event in 6M podcast, the podfather himself of Boink Studios. We've already talked about doing something for Heat before this comes out. It probably won't be a watch along because that's a 3-hour flick, but we will be doing some Heat content, and that'll be interesting. It's kind of funny. They're going to do, we're going to get Heat 2 and Grand Theft Auto 6. So maybe a bunch of heist stuff happening here in the near future. PlayStation Plus, March 2026. Sony has confirmed PlayStation Plus monthly games for March 2026 is Returnal, Tales of Arise, and Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 is an incredible game that doesn't get talked about enough. It's a lot of fun if you enjoyed any of those Hot Wheels games growing up. It is a great addition to that. There is some pay-to-play stuff there if you want specific cars, but not enough to ruin the experience for you. It is a great arcade racer. Xbox Game Pass, March 2026. Hi-Fi Rush seems to be returning. Dragon's Dogma 2, Hollow Knight Silksong are some that I had gotten lists of, and there's some indie releases as well. In demo right now, a game that I've been playing is Trading Card Simulator. So if you've ever wanted to run your own Pokemon collection store and like simulation games, it might be one that you would want to check out. And that takes us to kind of our last topic of the day, which is a little bit of Street Fighter news. AEW's Kenny Street Fighter in wrestling news, which is odd. We don't talk about wrestling a lot on this show, but shout out to Tom Clark's Main Event. Go check out the last episode. I was on that talking about some AEW. But Kenny Omega, AEW's Kenny Omega, made an appearance at IGN FanFest in 2026, bringing Street Fighter's Alex to life in full costume. IGN described it as a perfect blend of wrestling, showmanship, and fighting game fandom. Omega continues to be one of the most passionate ambassadors for gaming culture, and it seems that he will be doing some motion capturing for Alex in a future Street Fighter game. So watch out for that, I guess, if you're into Street Fighter 6. I've had a hard time getting getting back into Street Fighter. As far as online game plays, I am not the biggest fan of the last game, but that's cool, man. It's cool to see, we got a Street Fighter movie with Cody Rhodes playing Guile, and now we got Kenny Omega doing Alex out here. 50 Cent's going to be Balrog. Interesting stuff happening in the Street Fighter universe that I could have never predicted, but yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see. And that wraps up today's episode of the Patton Report. A massive week for Microsoft, a lot of uncertainty for Xbox, and plenty of fun stories to kind of round things out. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with fellow gamers and friends. I'll be back soon with more news, analysis, and commentary on the stories shaping the industry. Until next time, stay informed, stay passionate, and keep playing. Peace out.